with a well-earned reputation as the founder of luxury hardware in America. Baldwin Hardware is ranked #1 by architects, designers, and builders who have experienced the Baldwin commitment to timeless craftsmanship. Baldwin was founded in 1946 by Severin Fayerman, a survivor of World War II who came to the United States in pursuit of the American dream. His incredible story is the legacy that Baldwin Hardware celebrates today.
We emigrated to the United States. We came here as displaced persons. I came here with my mother and my father and my uncle. So with $80, we landed up in the streets of New York. The first time I saw the Statue of Liberty. And of course, I've known about it for so many years, but that was probably the most welcome sign I've ever seen in my life. And I remember the first night looking at the traffic. I was amazed at the cars passing by, the neon lights going on. I couldn't sleep the first night, you can imagine. It was just an unbelievable feeling of finally entering America. Well, the idea of starting the company actually came up from my father. In the fall of the year, it was 1945. I remember it like today. My father, after dinner on Sunday, turned to me and said, "Severin, you are the most able and best, speaks English best of all of us. Why don't you quit the job and see if we can find a company to buy? We should start our life here again." He was my hero, and he was the one that, sort of pushed me in that direction. Once it started going, he became the office manager, and I was the plant manager. So it was a wonderful team. On January 2nd, 1946, we opened the doors with $1,000. And I think this was the turning point, of course, in our lives. Considering that being less than a year in America, we were able to acquire a company and begin a new life, which it's an American miracle. This can only happen in America, in my opinion. It's the first we have made in our line, and it's the beginning of our career, and it's always going to be dear to my heart. It's just a letterbox plate, but to me, this is the beginning of my future. And as a matter of fact, the whole idea of starting the hardware items came from our suppliers. One day, one of the people that we did business for on a contract basis came with a little letterbox plate. And he said, "You guys are talking about going to hardware business. Couldn't you make that?" So I looked at it. I said, "Well, it looks pretty good." I went to the hardware store, find out what the price of it is, then cleaned it up a little bit, polished up, wrapped it up in tissue paper, got in my car, and started calling on the trade, see if I can sell it. So I walked to a hardware store or jobber and a wholesaler and said, "Well, who are you?" "I'm from Baldwin Manufacturing." "What do you make?" "We make letterbox plates." "Show me." So I unwrapped it and showed this. That's pretty good. "How much?" Of course, I knew what the price is. I quoted the price. "Pretty good. Can you deliver?" "Of course we can deliver." He said, "All right, you had an order for 2 grows." I says, "Well, it's an item, all right." So I came back to the plant and said, "Hey, it's an item. Let's start tuning up." So we fervently, quickly started making the tools and eventually stamped the items. I polished it, lacquered it, and assembled it. My mother wrapped it up, put it in the boxes, and then I delivered the first delivery of the grows to my customers. Starting with Mamie Eisenhower. She was one of the first ladies that bought our gift line. Dwight Eisenhower had a bookend on his office, in an Oval Office, which was a Baldwin. I was so proud of it, seeing the picture with the president and a Baldwin bookend. And I think that was our first introduction to the sales to the White House. As a matter of fact, I had an opportunity to meet President Clinton at one of the visits to Pennsylvania. And I was seated, as a matter of fact, at the table with him during the meeting. And as he walked into the room, he came up to me and said, "Mr. Fayerman, did you know that most of the hardware in the White House is made by Baldwin?" This was my acknowledgement for the first time that indeed, even the president knows that the hardware comes from Baldwin, an American-made company. When President Kennedy became assassinated, Jacqueline Kennedy, of course, left the White House, and at that time decided to build a private residence at Martha's Vineyard. The architect to the White House was commissioned to design and build the building. And he selected, of course, hardware, Baldwin Hardware. He turned to Mrs. Kennedy and said, would you like to pick any particular design? Well, she liked our rim locks. She wanted throughout the house to have the rim locks. However, she requested that we make a special finish that will never be used by anyone else except for her residence, which we, of course, we gladly accepted. When the order came in, and knowing that this is for Mrs. Kennedy, there was excitement. It was throughout the plant. Everybody was proud and happy to be part of this, and I think everyone did a special effort to make sure that it is beautiful, and it was truly very beautiful. I think we were inspired by it. We were honored to be part of this. She developed a special finish, and actually using brass rim locks, have them white coated with white enamel, and relieved all the edges in a high, sort of a dull brass finish. It was very original, very different. And we've accomplished this, and she was very pleased with it. We have never repeated it ever again, and we've retained the finish. This was the Jacqueline Kennedy finish. Most of the designs at the beginning, I would say, of Baldwin Hardware's development were all colonial designs, things brought from Germany or Holland many years ago, and we've continued it. However, we improved it by using forgings rather than castings, and being able to develop a finer finish and a quality that truly was unsurpassed by anybody else. Timeless craftsmanship to me means making the very best that's made in the world. I think that from the very beginning and the inception of the company, my dream and my desire was not to become the biggest in the United States or the world, but the finest. I think our desire was to perpetuate the American craftsmanship and to show what we can do and what our country can contribute for the rest of the world. That the name of Baldwin became synonymous, became actually attached to the best of the hardware. I think we gained this reputation by people realizing that it is the best product. We didn't advertise it, very little. And just by word to mouth, people hearing and seeing the hardware. And often when our customers who come to the stores of our dealers and they would say, what is the best hardware available? All of them said, without any hesitation, if you want the best, it's Baldwin. Truthfully speaking, a number of very famous people, prominent, a lot of movie actors, and a lot of very famous people used our hardware. And most of our suppliers kept on telling us, you know, that this famous person came out and bought your hardware, that one. And that what made us really very proud of it. And there was kind of like an impetus for us. We wanted to exceed. It gave us the pride of it. And what made the Baldwin, and we are Baldwin craftsmen. We make the best.
The Baldwin reputation for timeless craftsmanship is expressed through its diverse line of products. The company maintains a deep respect for tradition, and its designs authentically reproduce period artifacts. This makes Baldwin the ideal choice for the accurate restoration of historic buildings. In recent years, Baldwin has dramatically expanded its contemporary styles, including more than 24 new lever designs. These all strive for the appearance of motion, even for objects at rest. The colonial style features simple designs that exemplify the ideals of the Puritan colonists. The Baldwin approach is an ideal expression of American patriotism and a return to classical architectural styles. The Federal style represents a truly American design, yet accented with references to Greek and Roman culture. The graceful details seen in the Baldwin collection distinguish Federal homes from the more pragmatic colonial style. Opulent styles that feature complex shapes and detailed patterns are characteristic of the Victorian style. Baldwin's interpretation focuses on rich ornamentation for an aura of inspired luxury. French and Spanish influences are on display in Baldwin's ornamental styles, which are rich in decoration with the flavor of New Orleans. The Archetypes collection encompasses an array of inspired hand-cast bronze designs of other times and places, the rustic accents of villa, the intricate details of chateau, the simple geometry of craftsmen, all in luxuriously detailed finishes. Finely detailed hardware is characteristic of Baldwin's couture collections. Like jewelry for the home, these eclectic styles express the influences of diverse aesthetics, all with a strong respect for traditional design. For more information on Baldwin's robust portfolio of hardware, please visit us online at baldwinhardware.com. The Baldwin reputation for timeless craftsmanship is expressed through its long history of innovation. Baldwin has pioneered countless advancements in product design and engineering. In fact, Baldwin was the first to forge hardware out of solid brass and introduced America to lever designs from Europe when knobs were the norm.
We were manufacturing a chain door guard. It was actually a casting. I was grinding those castings and my hands were covered with green dust. And I was thinking, you know, there's got to be a better way of making a living than keep on grinding those castings. I drew a little design. I thought that if we make it out of an extruded material rather than a casting, it would be much easier to finish. I wouldn't have to grind it anymore and I could buff it. So quickly after lunch, I made myself a little sample of a sheet of brass and polished it, and it went very well. I took it to New York City and offered it to the wholesalers. And they says, "What is this?" I said, "It's a new chain door guard we just made." Every place I went, they loved the chain door guard. This was a turning point for the company. That small little item became really the first time we started making money because it was easier to make than any other chain door guard on the business. The cast one gave us a greater profit and truly brought in innovation. And today, 98% of chain door guards done any over the world are exact copies of our chain door guard. So we're sort of proud that we were the very first ones to do it. All our competition was casting, and we were the first ones to start forgings. And the Baldwin eventually achieved the specific look. Everyone that had a Baldwin product, they could immediately tell it is Baldwin because of the design, of the shape, the shine, and the finish. And I think that's what made this us so different. And of course, I believe that today we're the most imitated lock company in the world, because we really were the first ones with most of the new designs.